Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Happy Friday! The ultimate Cleveland sports show comes your way at the end of another work week. We have 90 minutes on YouTube, but you know the drill on Fridays at 12:30. We flip over to Channel 3 locally here in Cleveland. If you're outside the Cleveland market, download the app, WKYC+. You can actually stream the ultimate Cleveland sports show on the WKYC Plus app all week, every day. So you can use that to watch the program.
I'm texting my mom right now. I forgot to tell her we're on TV today.
Oh, yeah, tell her to flip over. My mom likes when we're on TV, too, because she doesn't like doing the YouTube thing.
Yep.
But she'll try to catch us when we're on Channel 3.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Yep.
So Mama Fox will be watching.
Yes.
My mom is, she don't watch on TV, but she watches in the chat. And she tells me when something's wrong with my outfit. She's like, hey, you have a tag on your
You're going
left
all black today, kind of like the Johnny Cash look.
Yeah, man.
It's a good look. Is there a reason? Are you mourning something?
Listen, I'm mourning the honeymoon for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like,
it could be over.
If you go and look at it in Twitter, people have had a funeral for the Cavaliers.
They have. Twitter has decided the Cavs are not going to win the championship.
They have decided since last
night.
Now,
Twitter is normally a very rational and pragmatic collection of our society.
Definitely a pulse of our
no doubt,
community.
If you want to know which way the winds are gusting, look at Twitter. We're going to talk about the Cavs because there were some troubling things for sure. It is just one game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of sandwiched in between another loss here. So it's 2 of the last 3 games now that the Cavs have lost. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about if they need to make a move for another piece. We've discussed this all season, and we've said, no, look at them. They're fine. Well, after last night, do you still think they're fine? And there is a rumor of one player that the Cavs are said to be interested in. We'll go over that. Denzel Ward. Now, he didn't say anything that isn't obviously true, but it's interesting when you hear a player say definitively, oh, yeah, our quarterback's not here. I can't imagine what Deshaun was thinking when he heard that.
I mean, unless he's delusional, he should hear that and think, yeah.
He's right.
I know I'm not the quarterback.
I heard Dustin yesterday. He said, "Oh no, I'm pretty much going to guarantee that you're going to get a quarterback." And I'm over the last 2 weeks, I've slowly moved in the aisle where Dustin is because
they don't have any choice.
The
only one that they have on roster right now is DTR.
Yeah, it's gonna be 3 new quarterbacks, and this is kind of wild. I was listening to Jeff Lloyd, my old partner at Locked On. And he's now in the Orange and Brown Report. And he says, I was listening to his blog later tonight, he said, guys, I know it's uncomfortable, but you're going to have to get comfortable with the fact that all these guys are not finished products.
No.
And there's not really that great of a, hey, take that veteran. He's like, you're going to be uncomfortable.
I mean, unless you get a Geno Smith or me. I know you've always been a Geno Smith fan. I like Geno Smith a lot. I think Geno Smith would be a viable option here. But, I mean, unless you get someone like that, like I don't even think, and I know you said yesterday that you're not dissuaded by his last 2 games.
Yeah.
But for me, I look at what's going on with Sam Darnold and I said, well, did the clock strike midnight?
Yeah, is he a pumpkin?
Yeah.
It seems like he's no longer Cinderella.
Them two, I was watching his coach. I said, O'Connell looked like Stefanski over there.
No answers. They looked like they were a deer in headlights.
I said this to, was it Bull yesterday? I think that Kevin Stefanski, you could take O'Connell out of Minnesota, plug in Stefanski, let him call the plays, and they're a 14-win team. Because that is O'Connell's doing exactly what Kevin Stefanski does.
He does.
Joint. You know, they're coaches that players like.
Yeah.
They're smart guys. They know how to draw up an offense. They know how to call plays, game plan, all these things. And
even keel personality.
Yeah, totally. And that's where Stefanski is, and he needs to get back to that. By the way.
Yeah.
Like you're repping the Ohio State sweatshirt.
Go Bucks.
Very nice.
Go
Very,
Bucks.
very nice.
OHIO. Do it at home.
Somebody just sent me a
Swag
text.
out.
I think this is wrong. Someone said if Ohio State beats Notre Dame that they would have beaten this year half of the playoff field.
That is correct.
Well, who was the 6th team?
Indiana.
Oh, Indiana. My God, you're right. Because I was going through them in my head. I'm like, they didn't play Arizona State. They didn't play Boise State. Indiana's very forgettable.
They are very forgettable.
And the text was from a buddy of mine who's an Ohio State fan. He said, if they pull this off, and by the way, all of those wins were by double digits with the exception of Penn State. And he makes a good point, and we can talk about this.
They covered the spread, though.
He said that they literally, if they pull this off, you can make an argument that this is the best collection of college football players we have ever seen. And I think that is a very valid point. What other team?
You mean collection of wins?
Well, when you've got 6 wins against the top 12 at the end of the year, it's not like you beat the top 12 at some point in the season. Like, you could beat a team in September that was ranked 9th and ended up finishing 6-5. This is a half of the field of the playoffs that they would have beaten by double digits with the exception of Penn State, depending on what happens in Notre Dame. And I think that's a very valid argument. And if they win on Monday, I think on Tuesday, part of that discussion is the legacy question.
I don't care that I'm going to have to get on an airplane and see a Michigan fan and they'll say, "Go Blue, we beat you guys."
Who cares? Who cares? I don't even remember that.
I don't either. I don't care.
It meant nothing in the moment. It means nothing right now.
That senior class with Jack Sawyer is going to be like this.
Yeah, who cares?
We're going to say scoreboard.
That's it. That's it. And
champions.
I think it would also be a really cool distinction, and I like stuff like this. It means nothing really, but I think it'd be cool, that the Buckeyes would have been the first champions in the BCS 4-team format and the first champion in the 12-team format. I think that'd be kind of cool.
I think when you look at it, and I don't know what the ratings are. I know you keep up with those things, but to me, I just loved the length of the playoffs. I love the first sight games where home teams. I got to see SMU and Penn State. SMU traveling to cold weather, Tennessee.
Wait until they get it right, G.
Man.
SMU, Boise State, Arizona State. I just think there were some teams in there that flat were not in the top 12, period.
Yeah.
Indiana, you can make an argument for. When they get this right, and they will, you're going to have something that's really close to what the NFL gives us every January.
Especially when you still get the bowl. Like the Oregon-Ohio State bowl game in a row. Like, I'm like, these are perfect matchups. Like, you couldn't ask for, like, you talk about blue bloods. And
oh, my God.
You couldn't ask for this. Notre Dame, Ohio State, come on. Like, they got to do major numbers.
Have to.
We'll talk more about the Ohio State-Notre Dame matchup a little later in the show, but we got to start with the Cavs, guys. That is the big story of the day. And if you want to see the Cavs back in action, you can check them out Monday at home when they take on the Phoenix Suns at 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon. If you're getting tickets to that game, you better be using Game Time. Game Time is making it even easier for you to get tickets to your favorite events with their brand new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. So last night was not a good showing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. After beating the Oklahoma City Thunder at home last Wednesday, the Cavs laid a stinker on national television, lose by 20 points, 134-114, and the final score makes it look closer than the game ever actually was. Guys, I'll just open the floor. We can take this in a number of different directions, but what the hell went wrong for Cleveland last night?
Everything. What went right?
Yeah, it was called a basketball game. I mean, these happen.
Yep.
It's unfortunate that it happened in a moment where we were all excited about the game, and it's a nationally televised audience, and everyone's hyping on the Cavaliers, and they just didn't show up. But, I play basketball, you play basketball. Like, we've watched basketball our whole lives. Like, these things happen. Duke lost to Lehigh in the tournament. Like, basketball is a make-or-miss deal, and those dudes last night, Dort couldn't miss, okay?
At all.
Dort will never have a game like that again against the Cavs in the playoffs. I'd be shocked. So I think it's just you take it on the chin and you say, oh, we'll get him next time.
It happens. Yeah, that was a clunker.
Yeah.
Look at Cedric the Entertainer. Look over him. You ain't never had a game. Don't look at Cedric. Don't look at me like that.
Let me tell you something real quick. His over-under in points last night, I know because I actually took the over, was 6 points. Well, actually 5.5.
And
Are you kidding?
He comes out like he is Timothy. Like, you have never performed like that.
Oh, he is him.
Hey, but listen.
He was last night.
Let me get the camera. Hey, listen.
Get the camera.
Here we go. Let's do it.
Listen, SGA, man. I know you see what I said the last game. I know. I said it's SGA. You sound like you're a grocery store, a discount grocery store at that. I'm going to SGA to pick up some ham. You know, they got it down to $2 a pound. I'm going to SGA's. It sounds like an open.
He dropped some hams last night.
That picture is wild, dude. Look at him in the picture. You see that?
He's kind of an odd-looking duck.
He looks a little interesting in that picture.
And he was a stone cold, odd-looking assassin like last night. Evidently, Oklahoma City has forwarded you everything that we said at Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And I apologize to you, man. You didn't have to come out here and hit every mid-range jumper. You did not have to come out here and throw daggers at us first 5 minutes of the game. You was taking everybody to rack, and listen, you are good. I never disrespected you that much. You did not have to come out here and give us buckets like this. But,
well, you did say he sounds like a discount grocery
I did.
store.
There wasn't nothing discount about that. They don't even give out discount cards at his grocery store if they had them. He's the top of he's a Whole Foods store.
Yeah, they don't take coupons at his store.
Whole Foods. Everything he was throwing up cost $10. You go on Whole Foods, meat's $10. Toilet paper's $10. Gatorade is $10. He was smoking us. I apologize. If we do meet up again, do not take what I said out against my Cleveland Cavaliers, because last night you was like, oh, there's levels to this. And that 40 burger, it was looking nasty. And it was up against a Donovan Mitchell performance that was,
What's wrong with Donovan Mitchell? What is wrong with Donovan?
Let's talk about the other stuff, and then we'll get to
Then
Donovan.
we're gonna get-
I got a thesis on Donovan.
Something is not right
and
with Donovan
we'll get
Mitchell.
to that. But otherwise, Jay, from a defensive standpoint, the Cavs' offense struggled, but they gave up 77 points in the first half. Defensively, this is not an Oklahoma City team that shoots a ton of threes, and last night they couldn't miss. Do you chuck that up to just a super hot, supernova shooting performance from OKC, or was there something a little more concerning about how Cleveland tried to defend them?
I think what you said, Dustin, is right on the money. I think they knew in the first 6 minutes. It's interesting. They came out, it was 4-0. I thought, okay, ready to go. Here we go. And then they just went to sleep. They missed like 9 or 10 shots in a row. And sometimes in athletics, even if you feel you're the better pitcher versus hitter, hitter versus pitcher, whatever, corner and wide receiver, in an individual matchup, sometimes in sports, you have confidence in saying, I'm better than this guy. Mm-hmm. But on that particular day, you're not, and you know you're not.
Yeah.
And it almost
you meet
feels
a buzzsaw. You meet a buzzsaw.
You meet a buzzsaw.
I see it on the tennis court all the time. Not to make everything tennis, but like that, you can see momentum shift, and like
you can't get it back.
Whether I'm a player or I'm watching it, like you can't get it back.
Can't get it back.
You're like this guy's
have a service break.
He's on today, and his forehand is cooking. I have nothing. I have nothing I can do.
And I felt like they got to that place mentally in the first quarter, which was kind of surprising to me. But I feel like
they got down 20-something points, right?
Almost right away. And to me, I felt like they recognized that, and they kind of said, path of least resistance. Let's not go and give 110% for the last 3 quarters when it's not going to mean anything. I felt like they kind of laid down.
I thought so. There's a lot of gameplay stuff that is the first time I've seen. For the first time I saw is the Cavs not matching the intensity and physicality of the push for the Thunder. I thought the Thunder came out and made it abundant. We are going to play this style of basketball. When the first play of the game, Jalen Williams basically fouled Evan Mobley. I'm like, man, that was an aggressive foul. I mean, he's one of the big guys.
But then Allen had the big dunk for the first score of the game, and I thought, okay, we matched that intensity, and then it just evaporated.
Then they ratcheted it up. They ratcheted it up more. They can't keep coming at guys. And then when you start having that pressure, Mikey McNuggets could tell you, he played guard, he played basketball, is your coach is always going to say, hey, guards, you got to be tough with the basketball. You got to be tough. You got to be able to get into our sets. And that's why we do those switch over dribbles and dribble 3 ways and get down. We got to get in our sets early, and we can't be getting knocked off the basketball and picking our dribble up at 90 feet. I thought the OKC's defense was abundantly clear that they made it a point to say, all these guys, if Donovan and Darius is cool, I thought they had made it abundantly clear. Max Strus, you not getting nothing. George Niang, you ain't getting nothing. Isaac Okoro, you ain't getting. They said we're gonna make the guys that we don't trust them skill sets. Those guys are guys that have been handling the basketball way too much for our liking, and they clamped down on them. You saw turnovers from Strus. You saw Niang look uncomfortable. You saw Isaac Okoro. Karis LeVert got the ball taken from him multiple times, and they never punched back in terms of being physical. And the thing that really annoyed me the most was, and I think Charles and Kenny talked about it, is that the Cavs, without Hartenstein on the court, they had the advantage in size.
Should have, yeah, they did.
And I would have liked to see it now. Now, granted, Mobley missed some bunnies. I thought Donovan Mitchell missed some bunnies right at the rim that he should be making. But the emphasis should be, you know what, we're going to kill y'all down low. You might stop us this time, but them 6'5" dudes, we're going to hammer you down low. But when you get down, the natural progression is we got to get back. Let's keep
start
shooting
jacking
threes.
up threes.
Let's keep shooting these threes.
Mike, one other thing before you go, Mike, I thought the crowd was a typical OKC crowd.
Right.
I've been there for games. Their crowd always amazes me, even though
It's
I know it's a great crowd. Like when it was like 9-7 or whatever, and they took their first lead, it sounded like a playoff game.
Every home game there.
I know. It is just their crowd is now. It's probably because that's all they have. That's it. So imagine if Cleveland had one pro sports team, but that fan base, when they come into that building every night, they imagine that they're in sweats and they've got to do their part to get the team a win. And I thought they were great last night, like playoff game great.
Yeah, that felt like a playoff game. It felt that energy level. And I wrote this on Twitter. I said, the Cavs going to learn from this. They're going to learn a couple of things. Like when you go into a gym, a finals type game, where you're playing in another team's gym after you won a game, all that's out the window. Oklahoma City Thunder was treating this as, we're going to get our get back. We at home.
They got it. Yeah,
we got that home cooking. And like you said, one of the best crowds in the league. You know you got a great crowd when you could do the Neapolitan crowd stand stuff. White section here, blue. Black section here, white. And then we're going to go 2 blues back. And they be in there full. I got my blue shirt. You don't see nobody out of wax. You don't see nothing. They ready to go.
So I want to mention and add on to something G said, but I want to preface everything with 2 things first. The Cavs did not play well last night, but give Oklahoma City a ton of credit. Like, they brought the fight to Cleveland. They shot the crap out the ball defensively. It was as good of a defensive performance as I can remember. SGA was incredible. Like, give them a ton of credit. I don't want anything I'm going to say to take away from what OKC did last night because they played awesome. And secondly, one bad game does not negate the first 39 games of the season.
Oh, no.
And I don't want anyone to overreact to just one bad performance, as bad as last night was. But 2 things that G mentioned. He must listen to the postgame show last night because I talked about him a little bit. I want to expand on it here. First and foremost, I thought last night was the first time Kenny Atkinson got legitimately outcoached all season. They had the size advantage without Hartenstein. They had a guy named Carlson, who I remember from watching in the NCAA tournament last year, who I told myself at the time, this dude's never playing in the pros.
Right.
Had a great game against them last night in these backup big minutes. Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams, who started at center last night in place of Hartenstein, is listed on ESPN at 6'8", 240. Yeah. That was their tallest player on the court, was 6'8", 240. I feel like when you have Mobley and the progression he's made this year and Jarrett Allen, you can't get into a three-point shooting battle when you have that level of size advantage, and I didn't think the Cavs took advantage of their size. Now, once again, credit OKC because as soon as they caught it in the post, they were sending doubles and triples and trying to get the ball out of their hands.
They were.
And defensively, I thought they did a good job against that. But if Evan's taking the jump that we keep saying he's taking and we think Jarrett Allen can be an all-star, those two need the ball on the block with the ability to score way more frequently than the Cavs put them in a position to get to. And part of the reason they didn't get in position to get to it, to G's point, the physicality was ramped up last night. And those OKC guards, Wallace, Dort, SGA, Jalen Williams, they will hound you for 94 feet. Alex Caruso falls into this category too.
Yeah.
And this is a trend now in 2 of the last 3 games that we have seen that I'm not circling as a major red flag, but this is something that I don't know how you can fix with the current roster construction without some guys making just individual progression.
So
it's the physicality, not necessarily on the wings, but when the guards close the space on Darius and Donovan and throw off the offensive rhythm just a tiny bit, they're attacking them, they're physical on drives. As soon as they come by, the help guy's giving a little elbow, all within the realms of not getting a whistle, but just a little added physicality over the course of the Indiana game with the full court press. We saw the offense just be completely thrown off rhythm last night, completely thrown off rhythm in the first quarter against OKC last week. They were completely thrown off rhythm too, but Max Strus hit 3 threes in that first quarter and saved their ass. That was kind of the underrated storyline from that whole game, was Max Strus saving them in the first quarter, not being down 13 points after the first break because of his threes. Darius and Donovan aren't putting on 15 pounds or growing 4 or 5 inches through the course of the season. And we've talked about at length the difficulties of undersized guards in the playoffs when the physicality ramps up and slows down.
Yeah.
To me, more than anything else, that was kind of I got to make a mental note of this, because this is 2 of the last 3 games where bigger physical guards got up in the Cavs, Donovan, Darius particularly, and got physical as they started to initiate their offense, and it threw off the timing of everything, and the Cavs just never seemed to be in sync.
So is that the blueprint?
Yeah, and it's the same thing Atlanta did, by the way.
I know
gave them issues earlier with Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels. It's less of the size on the wings. I just think it's more of the physicality up at the point of attack when they're trying to initiate the offense.
What's the counter to that?
I
It's
think
be more efficient, but it's tough. I mean, that's one of the things that being 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" at the guard positions, or having the 7'2" wingspan like Jalen Williams, that's why it makes certain guys more valuable than others.
you can't. So and I know this.
It's not a fatal flaw, but it is something that you can certainly do against the Cavs that has given them fits over the last 2 weeks.
And especially if you're hitting shots, because what I would say is you could get out in transition more. I still want to see Donovan Mitchell in the open court more, putting pressure on the defense. I want to see Darius Garland getting the ball, filling the lanes, and then guys like Isaac Okoro who are going to struggle. George Niang is going to struggle when you get down to a bogged-down game in a half-court game. I want to see you get more fast break points. But the thing is, it's hard to run fast breaks when you're getting the ball out of basket, taking it out because they're scoring.
Right, yeah.
You know? So that is, if you want to run.
That starts with defense.
And that starts the defensive end of the floor, Jay.
Yes, yep.
You got to get stops. You got to be able to secure the rebound and go. And guys need to be intentional in sprinting and getting out in the open court. Because, you look at that. Donovan Mitchell right there. He had 8 points. A lot of his shots, and this is something, McNuggets kind of alluded to this a couple of weeks ago. A lot of his shots are contested step backs. A lot of them. If he's hitting that contested step back 3, you're in trouble. He'll go off like he did for 35 against the Pacers. But Dustin,
the problem is it's not, it's not a high percent shot.
Right.
And so he's got to find other ways to score points.
Right.
To get buckets. And it may be off the dribble. It may be, trying to come off pick and rolls. Whatever they've got to do to get him open to where he doesn't have to take those step backs that are contested, I would advise them to get on that.
Yeah.
Because this crap is not going to work in the playoffs.
Mike, the
Especially,
shooting, we talked about how we felt that collectively and even some individually, they were shooting over their means, over their averages. I feel like the last couple of games they've taken a real step back, a regression to where they probably should be shooting. Do you feel that's the case? And if so, is it because they're not getting the looks that they were early? Why is that happening?
Their regression to the mean still has them an entire percentage point above anyone else in basketball. So they're still the best
Currently.
3-point shooting. Yes, currently. And
They haven't been the last 2 weeks.
No, but I'm saying on the season, they're still 39.7%, which is an entire point higher than Milwaukee at 38.7 in second place. So even with the regression the last 2 weeks, they're still the number 1 shooting team in basketball. As a team, to shoot over 40%, we talked about it, hadn't happened since the 2020, 2021 season.
Yeah.
Incredibly rare. So you expect some sort of regression. I think part of it is specifically in the last 4 games, you want to go back to OKC in the first time, they're just working harder to get certain shots. And guys who had been making shots, Niang, Merrill, who made 3 threes last night in garbage time but was MIA when the first 3 quarters that really mattered. Levert's 3-point percentage has fallen from the high 40s. Isaac Okoro's made 1 3 in 2025. He is 3 of 19 since returning from the shoulder injury. He was shooting 50% from 3. He's down to the low 40s. Ty Jerome went from 50%. He's in the low 40s now. So you're just seeing guys
come back to earth.
Shoot above where their career percentage is still, but of the last 2 weeks, they've taken a step back. And to answer your question earlier, I did a bad job of how do you kind of beat physical defense up front. You got to still drive, draw the defense, kick, and hope the guys make the open shots. How do you beat pressure defense? Get past it and kick so you can't have that pressure up high, because if you are up high.
Early.
Exactly,
Right?
early, because if you are up high, it's going to leave open shooters on the corners, and the Cavs, like we said, have shot out of their mind. And 2, you go back to a pick-and-roll offense, which was the bane of our existence for the last 3 years, but how do you get a physical defender off you? You have Jarrett Allen pick him 35 feet from the basket, but that kind of goes against a lot of what Kenny Atkinson wants to do.
Yeah, and it almost feels like we'd be taking a step back.
And I felt yesterday, watching the game, it looked like there was a small regression back to that style of game, because I saw a lot of dribbling.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of dribbling, dribble at the top of the key. It's 12 seconds, dribble one more, a couple passes.
Dude, they just didn't have it, man.
Yeah.
And not just in the
bad
fact
game.
that they missed shots. They were flat from the second they got on the floor, and people say, how can you come into a game flat? It happens. I can't explain it. I don't know how it happens. I don't know if it's what they ate the night before, like if it's the flight, whatever. You played sports your whole life. Same with me. I've been in games where we came out flat, and I'm like,
How? We had a great week of practice.
0-3, Michigan, up there. Flat as hell. Getting our doors blown off first half. We came back in the second half, but like the first half, I'm looking around, we're all like lethargic.
Yeah.
That's what the Cavs looked like last night, and I think they reverted back to what they did last year because they just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, they tried to call the timeouts, and I thought, and you said this coming out flat, you don't know why. Sometimes it's a great phenomenon. There's games
It really is.
where you come out and then it could be one person making a play who you normally doesn't. You say, oh, damn it, we about to be good today because so-and-so just made a play.
Yeah.
Now, then all of a sudden, it just feels like it's a snowball effect. But there's also times you got a great week of practice, you got a great shoot-around, you got great preparation, you know the scout report, and then the first 10 shots don't fall, and then Lou Dort starts hitting threes, and you're like, come on.
Let me tell you something.
It's Dort. He ain't like that.
Hey, man, we played you guys in 1999 at Fawcett. Man, we had a great game plan. Thought we had a chance against you guys my sophomore year. And first play of the game, Mike Doss returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown.
Oh, wow.
And our sideline was like, yep.
You know,
It's over.
And they, you know,
And that was last night. It's a game. I mean, I felt like after they had the lead, I actually think they had the lead 7-4 at one point, and then that was it. Then they get down like 20. I'm like, it's over. They're not. They're going to lose this. I said this to Sarah last time. I'm like, they're going to lose this game by 30.
I remember. It's funny. I've never told you this story, but that game, they made a big deal in the locker room all week about how Glen Oak was at home, and Glen Oak was. We shared.
The only thing at home about that was the eagle in the middle of the field.
They had clippings up of this damn eagle all week.
We shared Fawcett Stadium
at Fawcett
Hall of Fame.
We're the defending 2-time state champions.
USA Today, #1 in the nation.
And they got a damn eagle on your field. They're going to trot this guy, Dustin Fox, and his whole lineage down here. He's going to have all the people in the stands, all his brothers, all his uncles, everybody playing in the NFL, these Foxes. And they're going to get him the damn ball 100 times in that game. Dustin played tailback at the time. And he was the greatest white hype in Stark County. He ran 40-inch vertical, 4.4. He's tough, got the pedigree. Is this what we're going to do today? This is what we're doing? They say he's going to Ohio State, too. Well, I mean, I thought we had the guy that was going to Ohio State, Mike Doss. He plays corner, too. Are you going to play when you get to Ohio State? Doss was just, they just kept telling him that all damn week. In the first play of the game,
80 yards,
Gone.
house, and he dove in the end zone like Superman.
and
I'll never forget, his back flap was flying,
had a back
and he
flap.
spreads eagle, and he
has
like,
a
it's
visor,
over. And
it was
went on to
over.
lose like 37-7.
and it was done after that. And that's the
Over.
way momentum. And so Mike Doss, he's your best player. You see him show up against Warren, Ignatius. No, it don't matter.
The analogy is that Shai
SGA
was Mike Doss.
He was Mike Doss. He put
took it
the
over.
cape on. And the first three or four possessions, when he was chirping and he was mic'd up, he said, hey, I ain't going to tell you, I'm mic'd up right now. I ain't going to say what I want to say. Man, he started hitting the mid-range jumpers, and it was shot hands up. And when somebody got a shot hand in between your jumper and it's going in nothing but the I said, oh, he's on one right now. His cornrows even looked like they just had got
they were
done.
fresh.
They was fresh.
Yeah. I don't
He
even know
had
nothing about it, but they
fresh
look
headband, and he was not playing around. And he looked like he was playing in some Travis Scott Yeezys
Those
or
were
something.
sick, yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, y'all in for it. Donovan
was feeling
Mitchell.
himself.
He was Donovan
There were
Mitchell. What are you doing?
MVP?
He's the heavy betting favorite.
I know. I know.
And deserves it, in my opinion.
And you know what? I was skeptical coming into last night. I said, I just don't know that this guy is the MVP.
Man.
And after last night, I'm like, okay, he just trounced the best team in the NBA and made it look easy. Maybe he is the MVP.
It's the fewest minutes in a 40-point game in the last 5 years. So
Really?
yeah.
Wow. So his efficiency was off the chart.
With that being said, though, it's just one game. We beat them. They beat us. It's all good.
You understand, in the finals, we're going to have to play games in OKC if we get there.
Yes.
And that could happen.
That's going to happen.
I watch the finals every year. You do. And teams go on the road, and a lot of times they get the doors blown off.
Yep.
There's a reason why you play 7 games, and there's a reason why you want to be the team that's got the home court in that game 7.
Yeah.
And now, by the way, their hold on the best record in the NBA is really dicey.
Oh, it's tight.
It's close as it's been.
No, it's 34-34.
Right.
Wins. They're exactly even now, and they split. So
And prior to that, it was up to 2 game. They had a 2-game lead, and now you blink, and it's gone.
yeah. It's going to be a fun stretch run here for the Cavs and the Thunder. We got another Cavs topic coming up after a quick word from Rocket Money. Has Rocket Money ever helped you find subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions I wasn't even aware that I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track it all down. It was like having a personal assistant for my finances. Rocket Money is the personal finance app you need to help find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and help lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That is rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. We mentioned Donovan Mitchell a second ago, and I told you to hold off on those thoughts because we're going to do a whole Donovan Mitchell clip. But over the last couple of games, it's not been a stellar week and a half here for Donovan Mitchell. In the 2 games against Oklahoma City, you alluded to it before, but he had 19 total points on 6 of 31 shooting. Against individual matchups against Lou Dort, he was held to just 3 of 13 from the floor. But if you look past just the OKC game, Steve, take 296 full here. His last 6 games, Donovan has been struggling a bit. He's averaging just 17.8 points per game on 39% from the field and 34% three-point shooting, which are both big drops from his season percentages. He had 8 points against OKC. He did have the explosion against Indy on Tuesday for 35, but 19, 11, 19, and 15. And we talked about this in the preview for it yesterday, but Steve, you take 298 here. His shots at the rim and the amount of times he's getting to the rim this season are much closer to his career low than we have seen in the past. And this was before, we didn't update this after last night, but this was before last night. I have the updated numbers I'll just share with you now, but his field goal percentage at the rim has dropped down to 56%, which is actually lower than his career low, and his attempt of shots at the rim is at 22%, so tying his career low. So Donovan at the rim finishing, this has been his least efficient season of the year. And Steve, you can take the next one, his 297, his buckets against OKC. You'll see him miss a couple easy bunnies, as G alluded to earlier. He had the knee injury last season, which he hurt on a free throw. It was tendonitis in the knee. He took a couple weeks off to just rest and recover. He never had surgery on it. It was just told that time would heal. Dustin, G, J, I'm not sure if you guys get the same sense, but I'm curious. And I'm not saying it is. I'm just curious because the eye test kind of matches the numbers. That maybe the tendonitis is bothering him a little bit, and the explosiveness just isn't as high as it has been in the past, and that's part of the reason we've seen such the decline in terms of efficiency at the rim and the increase in the step-back threes and the step-back mid-range jumpers that Dustin and G alluded to before. I'm not saying he's not playing well. Donovan is still playing at an all-star and close to an all-NBA caliber level, but the finishing is a legitimate concern at this point, down to 56% at the rim. And if he's not getting to the rim and finishing at the same level we've become accustomed to, that takes a major, legitimate end-of-game scoring option out of the equation for the Cavs.
Well, if he's banged up right now and he's got the tendonitis, then you rest him and you manage it. Like, I don't need this to be an issue in the playoffs. I know we're trying to fight for the number 1 seed and have the home court all the way through the playoffs, but, like, that's not going to get it done in the playoffs. If this knee is bothering him, guys, then the doc's got to manage this.
Yeah.
G, hold on. He hasn't come out and said.
No, I understand. You're speculating.
I'm just trying to put some perspective and figure out what's going on.
I would be curious because this is one of my stats that I look at and people may think I'm crazy. How many dunks does he have this year?
I could find it. Hold on.
And is that number higher or lower? Where is that in the pantheon of what he normally does? And I'll tell you exactly why I look at this number. Sometimes people don't dunk the basketball when they're a really athletic guy, and that's part of their game, is because they're working on other parts. Like, okay, well, I need to be a more consistent shooter, or I need to add this piece and part to my game. Now, there's also ways and reasons why people stop dunking the basketball too. It's because you don't have the quickness to blow by people as you once did, and you don't have the ability to explode over people in a very short, compact place in the paint. People forget he's 6'2". A large part of what he is explosiveness. You look at how he's built in his lower body. He's a jumper. He's been in a dunk contest. He's one of the highest leapers in the league. And sometimes when you have some issues, and as we all know, you jump and you got knee injuries. It's not the fact that you get hurt and you tear something. It's just maybe you lose that half a centimeter step. That half a centimeter step as a guard or a defensive back is the difference between you closing on the ball, dunking the ball, blowing by for an easier layup, or that being a contested shot where they're stopping you on your right hand and you got to go back left and change directions. And for me, when you look at those, when he's driving the ball, how many straight line drives does he get where he's taking one dribble, straight line, don't have to stop, and get to the rim?
Yeah.
I don't see it. He's dribbling. He's getting to a spot. They cut him off that way. He has to pump fake, or he said, now granted, trust me, I'm not saying that he's not balling. I'm not saying he's still not him, and I'm not saying that he has lost his athleticism. But when you lose or you injured or lose a step, it shows in 4 to 5 plays, right? Yeah. And these dudes are smart as hell. Trust me. You think they ain't telling Lou Dort? He ain't got it. He can't blow by you. Make him blow by you, right? And until you do that, they're going to play you for certain places on the court.
Gee, I have your dunk stats real quick if you want them.
What are they? Are they down?
Yeah, so last year he had 18 dunks in 55 games. That was 0.32 dunks per game. This season he has 7 dunks in 38 games. That is 0.18 dunks per game. So from 0.32 down to 0.18.
Now, granted, he's a guard. He's not a big man. You need to be in transition and you need to be out in the break. But I'm judging that by explosiveness. Yeah. I'm just looking at that as explosiveness.
So I don't think you're crazy at all. I remember when when he first started having knee problems.
Yeah.
A lot of the opponents were saying Kobe's not Kobe. He doesn't have the same explosiveness at the rim.
He learned to be different. And
he had to be different.
Why, when he was 40 years old in his last game, he scored 60 points. He didn't score it the way he did when he was 24.
That's exactly not in a completely different way. And that's the thing. So I think, and again, I don't think we're talking about his demise. I think this is a temporary setback. But I do think, and you guys know this, when you have tendonitis, you're prone to have tendonitis again.
Yes.
And I think that we're at that point in the season where the miles are starting to show. So it's got to be a load management situation. They've got to and I agree with you. Nice if you can get the number 1 seed. We talked about earlier why that is so important.
Absolutely.
You need to have that extra game at home against the OKCs and the Bostons.
It's not as important as Donovan Mitchell being healthy.
But
I promise you that.
If you overuse Donovan now and then you lose him for a stretch of 12 to 15 and it happens to be in March or April, now your whole season's wrecked. Save the season. I know that his minutes are down, and I think they've done a really good job in general, team-wide, of their load management. But I think the proof is in the pudding. And, Mike, I hadn't thought that, but when I was watching it last night, I did feel at times that he was kind of going in slow motion, particularly on his drives to the hoop. I thought, wow, he used to just take that guy. He used to just be by him. Well, I didn't see that last night.
We put the montage. He was 0 for 6 at the rim last night.
Wow.
Which dropped his, like you said, we talked it. Steve, you can take this full. Don't even put me on camera.
And Mike, if you're slower getting to the rim, there's more defense around you at the rim.
Even still on some of these, Steve, started from the get-go, let's start from the very beginning. I'm going to shut up and let you guys talk. These are shots that we've just seen Donovan Mitchell make 100 out of 100 times in the past.
This one right here.
That's it. That's the slow one. That's it.
That one.
Yeah.
Yep. Because he gets the dip and under, and he usually makes that easily, and he just was off.
And here's another thing too. Like when you have lift, it makes you're able to achieve better angles. You're able to move and contort a little better when I got the lift, and I'm not worried about the fray and the trash on the ground. I'm above that, so now I can finish over the top of guys. And you know, like when you look at Donovan Mitchell, and this is why, and I agree, Jason has said this a lot, and he said it from the beginning. For the Cavs to go where they need to go, Evan Mobley has to be the best player. I believe that Donovan Mitchell is a closer. What you want Donovan Mitchell to do is, if you got a short burst of time where, hey, we need to stay in the game, we got Donovan Mitchell for that.
Right.
We need to close you out of a game.
Yeah.
We got Donovan Mitchell for that. But from quarters 2 and 3 in that medium place where you either gain ground or you lose traction, I'm going to Mobley, and if he can dominate and get it where it needs to go, then that's why you got Evan Mobley to be a mismatch. And plus, I think we could compare and contrast it. You look at Darius Garland. Darius Garland, on the other hand, to me, seems to have more juice than he did last year, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He's finishing much better. You look at the game he had last night, and I know everybody didn't play well, but I thought Darius Garland showed, oh, y'all can't guard me. Like, he played like...
He's their best guy last night.
Right now I have more confidence when Garland has the ball in his hands that he's going to get a bucket than Donovan.
Yep.
Right now.
And
that's not to say I don't want Donovan taking the last shot.
Yeah. I think he's doing a great job of finding the best shot.
He is.
He's getting, either he's going to take it or he's going to get it. And it feels like he's playing at a level where it's like we used to say, hey, oh, you got fresh legs today.
Fresh legs, yeah.
Fresh legs is a thing. When you get older, you start to see dudes, and listen, look at him coming off injury. He got fresh legs today, and he's just getting to his spot. He's doing whatever he wants to right now. But in general, I think Donovan, I'm not going to say he's injured, but I do think that there is some lingering effects of the knee. And if they need to sit him, sit him. That's what you got Darius Garland for. That's what you got a bench for. Like, let's cultivate and continue to grow, but you need him for the playoffs. Let's be clear. If he's playing like this in the playoffs, we ain't got to worry about OKC because they can't beat the Celtics with that. They can't beat the Celtics if Donovan play like that.
And that's part of the luxury of
right.
building a 6-game lead for the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference right now. Is
Yes.
that if you do want to give Donovan a little rest, it's not like you're in a neck-and-neck battle at this point.
Right.
And that would severely hinder your
OKC's
chances.
going to hit a stretch too.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
They'll hit a
100%
stretch.
happens, yeah. And OKC doesn't have a flawless record either, and they've had a couple of losses that you look at and say, how did they lose that game as well? So
Right.
It's part of basketball. Just something to monitor. I don't want to raise the red flag. I'm not smashing the panic button, but something I noticed that I figured it was worth bringing up to at least ask if I was crazy or you guys were seeing the same things, and it feels like we're all in the
Donovan, if
all
you
in
see
alignment with
McNuggets in the locker room, nah, don't listen. If you see McNuggets, we not saying you fell off, big dog. I'm still with you. You still Donovan Mitchell. I still take you over SGA even though people look at me crazy. You're the home team, bro. But listen, it's okay. It's okay. It's just a few games. We right where we need to be. If you need to take a couple of days off, by all means, my man, do it because it's all about the bigger picture.
All right, we're going to get back to the Cavs at the end of the show. If you want some instant reaction to last night's game, we did go live last night for an Ultimate Cavs show. As the final buzzer sounded, it is a lot easier to talk about the game now with 12 hours to digest what happened. But if you want some instant reaction, you go find that on our YouTube channel right now. In other news, guys, Denzel Ward was in New York City, and a TMZ reporter found him, and it was a pretty entertaining interview between Denzel and the TMZ reporter. We got about a minute and a half to play you guys from that interview, and we'll react to what Denzel had to say. So here's Denzel talking to a TMZ reporter in New York City yesterday.
How are you, Mr. Ward? Okay, so a lot to talk about, right?
Yeah.
The Browns. A lot of people talking about this team and, your team, and it's a lot of negative and positive stuff, too.
Yeah.
So we want to know, do you think that the team needs a good quarterback, or should they be rebuilding the entire, roster?
Yeah. I think we need a great quarterback for real. I mean, I think the NFL, that's what it start with. Start with that quarterback position. And once you get that solidified, then the rest of the team go follow and go carry along. So I don't think we're too far off. We need to solidify that position, though.
Right. What about Geno Smith? There have been talks about him coming over. Do you think he could be the one?
He's solid. He's a solid quarterback. You know, until we actually get him in the building and get people in the building, I'm still rolling with my people we got there. But no, he's a good quarterback though, and he come to the team. I would like that.
Right now, Garrett Miles, right? He goes, listen, the team ain't that bad.
Yeah.
We're like right there,
Yeah.
almost there. Do you agree with that statement, or do you feel like there's like a lot more?
No, for sure. Like I said, I think we got a good team for real. But we got to solidify that quarterback position. You got a quarterback position, you see, it's going to take you far.
So Garrett Miles, new player.
You know what? Bless Denzel's heart. You know, he is like one of the nicest, kindest professional athletes that you'll ever meet. And that's a perfect example. He didn't correct her. He didn't embarrass her. He just answered the question. He knew what she was trying to say. That's often what you get when you have someone with no sports background whatsoever interviewing someone in the sports world. But kudos to him for not blowing her up when we all laughed the second we heard it.
Other than that part of it, though, Jay, what was your reaction to what Denzel had to say, especially about the quarterback position?
I think it marks a new low for Deshaun Watson because he has to see this and say, at 2, Brutus, like, you're my teammate. You're out there telling strangers on the streets that we need a new quarterback. Now, it's obvious to all of us.
He didn't say we need a new quarterback. He said we need to solidify the position.
He said we need a new quarterback. He didn't use those words, but you heard what he said.
Right, but
we don't currently have the quarterback that we need.
We don't. And
that's
the guy that we thought we were supposed to have has 2 torn Achilles.
Yes.
So he's most likely never going to play in the league again. So I don't know that. Like, everyone wants to make this a shot at Deshaun Watson or something. I don't think that it is.
It's a backhanded shot.
I don't even think it is at all.
I mean, he's saying to a guy who thinks he's going to play for the Browns again, and you have to. By the way,
I don't think Deshaun thinks he's.
Well, here's the thing: when you're in that situation, you have to think I'm playing again. You have to.
I don't think so.
So you think that he's throwing his hands up and saying, I'm done, I'm not even going to rehab?
At this point, I think he knows it.
Wow. Then he's more of a quitter than I thought.
I don't think he's a quitter. I think the odds are stacked against him.
They are, but so what? They are against many athletes that come back.
There was a once upon a time, I'll give you a quick story. When I went to OU, I was like, people say, why would you go to a MAC school? I'm saying, listen, if I play for 4 years at a MAC school and I play well against the big name schools, I'll be great. There's Florida. There's all these other great teams on this school schedule. And I started as a freshman. So I said, I got 3 years to do this. I'm fast track. At the end of my freshman year, I get hurt against NC State. I tear one ACL. I had that surgery December 13th. I rehab it all year. I stay down there, do the off-season thing. I'm better than ever. This is great. 2 weeks before we play Pitt, I tear my other ACL. Now you have 2 ACL tears that you have before you were a sophomore. I missed my whole redshirt sophomore year.
Did you quit?
No. But here's what I did know. When I tore my ACL in practice, I cried like a kid.
Yeah.
And you know why I cried like a kid? Because it was over. The statistics say not only are you at a MAC school, not only have you torn 1 ACL, you've torn 2 ACLs. You can't pass a medical right now, and you got to learn how to walk. And I also knew that while I was sitting there rehabbing basically 2 knees in 8 months and trying to get back to playing, that everybody else was working, everybody else was doing plyos, everybody else was getting bigger, faster, stronger, got tape, and I'm sitting here trying to get back to ground zero when I was a freshman 2 years out the game.
All that, and you didn't quit.
I didn't quit, but reality is that you know what? And when you tear your Achilles heel like Deshaun Watson did, he cried the first time. That time was, I don't know if I could do it again, I'm disappointed, but I'm going to get back ready to go. You can amp yourself up once. But when you got to amp yourself up that second time.
And I also don't think that it's quitting when you're injured.
Yeah,
I don't.
It's your body getting.
There are guys that have come back from it. And as long as there are guys that have come back from it, it's not impossible.
But Jay, he knows those guys don't have the baggage I do. Those guys don't have the contract.
Yeah.
Those guys don't have 2 years of bad. He knows he's played bad.
I understand everything you guys are saying, but here's what I don't understand. It's okay for you to quit on me. It's okay for you to quit on me. It's okay for everybody else in the locker room to quit on me. It's not okay for me to quit on me. You can hear that. You know what that would do for me? Oh, you don't think I can do this? Let me show you. Let me show you. And to me, when you tore your second ACL, you probably, as you were walking through the weight room and you probably heard guys whispering, oh man, that's it for G. Bush. But they weren't telling reporters that's it for G. Bush.
I got to tell you, Jay, and I love you and I respect the hell out of you. If I had his contract and I tore my Achilles tendon.
Well, now that's part of it. No. The contract's part of it.
Yeah,
he's
And guess what? That's, again, where the Browns did themselves absolutely no favors by saying, guaranteed no matter what.
Sometimes that's to the point is, it's hard. I did that because, my mom and dad can't pay for school. I got to finish this out.
Right.
I need to get that paper. So you can't go nowhere. And that was the part of the game. But now, if you got $230 million or whatever the case may be, and I'm not saying he's a quitter.
Did you see him like in that little TikTok video? Like, he could barely move. And I don't know if that was anything to do with his injury, but my point in saying that is
Wasn't that, though, didn't we determine that was in March?
That was filmed in March before the Achilles. Yes.
Allegedly.
Well,
No, that was definitely filmed.
It was definitely filmed in March.
His girlfriend posted a picture with them in the exact same location, the exact same outfits on March 28th.
Okay, good.
And he couldn't.
I wasn't even trying to make the video thing. All I was trying to say, to make the point, was that Deshaun Watson has to worry about like walking and being mobile when he's 50.
He's already had 2 ACLs.
Right. It's not the guy doesn't have great lower extremity health.
Right.
Okay. So if I had $230 million and I didn't have a knee ligament here and I didn't have an Achilles here, I would consider like quality of life as something that's more important than proving to Dustin Fox, Jay Crawford, and Garrett Bush that I'm a quitter or not a quitter.
Man, I can't imagine that, though. I just can't.
And
the other reason is because where his reputation is right now is as bad as it can be, personally and professionally.
Yeah.
He saw guys coming off the street doing things that he couldn't dream of doing at
Dustin
40 years old.
Remember I asked you this? I asked Tyvus and Dustin this a few weeks ago, and I said, listen, how many people have you played with that walked away from the game of football because it was on their own terms? Or
is Calvin Johnson a quitter? Is Barry Sanders a quitter?
The great equalizer is health, and to play at that level, some people like me get injured so much you ain't even qualify for it. But the majority of people the game is taken away from them by health and father time, and your body don't care nothing about that. Ligaments don't care about what your heart say. We know that from Nick Chubb. Like, it's just that. Is he going to rehab? Sure. Part of it is because, hey, to get that extra bag, I got to show up and be productive, and they're not going to play me. But to me, I think in my heart of hearts, when he tore that Achilles for the second time, and when I tore and I'm not comparing the two, but when I tore my Achilles my ACL the second time in 8 months, it wasn't that one of the guys in the locker room said, G. Bush is whispering it's done. It's even colder. It's almost like you don't exist.
Persona non grata.
Yeah. You walk through.
Yeah.
You're a ghost.
Sure.
You're not. Man. The coaches don't talk to you.
Worst year of my life was I was on IR my rookie year.
You're a ghost.
And I'm a rookie on IR, which meant I was the baby in the corner. And like people walked past me like I wasn't even there. I didn't even know people. I felt like a janitor.
Yeah, you feel dead because it's like to play football, you need your guys. You need them to get you through injuries, get you through the mental grind.
It's like your brothers. It's like family.
It's like you lost it's almost like they act like you're dead, like you died. They went to your funeral. The funeral was surgery, and then you come back, and then you don't even get some of the same sympathy.
It's like your girlfriend breaking up with you, but you all still share an apartment.
Try doing that one on a divorce for 2 months.
I feel you.
Just looking around. She telling you she want the coffee table. The coffee table is part of a set. What you talking about? I just told you I was gonna pay for these rings and jewelry. Now you don't want me to move out. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's triggering, G. I'm sorry, man.
I still can't help but go back to this. They're still teammates.
Yes, they are.
Like they're still teammates.
He loves them.
And to your point that you need your guys and you need their support. I know Denzel was being absolutely transparent and honest, and nothing he said was wrong. Nothing.
Yeah.
He spoke the truth. Mm-hmm. However, by
the way, Jay, maybe Deshaun's a bad teammate. Maybe guys don't like him.
Listen, there are some accounts that he is a bad teammate.
Listen, I've never met the guy.
A cloud lifted when he got hurt and left.
I've never met the guy in my life. I don't know if he's a good guy, bad guy. I don't like what's alleged, but I've never been around him.
Sure. You don't know.
So, with that being said, though, like I've played with a lot of guys. Won national championship, by the way, with some guys right next to me that I couldn't care less about.
Mm-hmm. That always happens on every team. But you know what's surprising to me is And again, I'm not faulting Denzel. Denzel was just being a courteous human being. He was asked a question. He thought, well, this is a TMZ. Like, I can say whatever.
He also was just walking on the streets of New York City or wherever it's at.
Wasn't ready for that.
Probably the first. Dude, can you imagine walking down the street and someone's like, puts a camera in your face?
TMZ.
I bet it's the first time it's ever happened to him.
In that setting, you're probably right. But again, I think if he had to do it over again, because there is a code. You know what the code is. If you're going to put one of your teammates' names in your mouth, whatever comes out better be good, better be positive. Now, he never said Deshaun Watson's name. He didn't need to.
Sure, but he also could have said his name in a clip that's not on TMZ. I mean, he could have.
Possibly.
We didn't get the whole thing.
Possibly.
What do you guys think about this? I think this, because there's 2 or 3 things. I watched the show the other day, and you guys were talking about Nathan Zagura, right? And Nathan Zagura was talking about quarterbacks, I think. And,
I think Bull was on and Jay was not.
Yeah.
It was yesterday. We had
I don't
said
remember.
Nathan Zagura said that he believes that Tommy Rees was hired to help shepherd in a new young quarterback.
I think
that's right.
I think on the inside, and I said it on Ultimate Browns. I kind of said, like, listen, I feel like they're going to go in the quarterback direction. Dustin talked about it yesterday. I think they've already talked to the top guys, the Batonios, the Denzel Wards, the Myles Garrett. I think they've been very transparent with them, because those guys are the guys that are playing at a high level and they want to plan.
Right.
They're like, listen, if you guys want us to lead this locker room and lead people, we got to be able to go back and tell our troops something. I think that they've told those guys.
But don't you think step 1 of the plan was obvious? Everybody and their brother knows it.
Yeah.
People that don't follow football know what the plan is. It's not that guy.
Yeah. So
But to me, the convincing part to these veterans is what's part 2.
Yeah, I think the part 2.
Yeah, we need a quarterback. That's obvious.
I think he openly talked about it because he's comfortable. They've openly talked about it in the locker room.
Yeah.
They've already said the brass is coming out unofficially. Listen, guys, we plan on going in a different direction at quarterback. We know that. And I think they have to have that level of transparency with him, because Stefanski, to me, lost the locker room a little bit. The 3 wins that they got, those 3 wins, that was alarming to me, because I felt like Stefanski had enough. I saw what he did the year before. I always felt like he gets guys to play hard. And this season was an outlier, because 3 wins means people checked out. People was like, I'm going to put that on tape. So my thing is, he had to go to those guys and say, look, this is the plan. It's transparent. I know you guys are disappointed just the way we are. We're going to change some things a little bit here. And I think that's why he was comfortable in saying it. And I think Deshaun Watson, for whatever it's worth, I think they've already told him.
Told him what? You're done?
We're moving in a different direction. You're gonna get paid.
Yeah.
We're gonna figure out the way
We
to work
have to manipulate the roster and all that.
But we are just a courtesy to you. We would like, as a human, we want you to worry about your rehab, get back ready. If you need anything that we need to get you ready for your next stint, wherever you are, we will do whatever we can to make sure you're ready physically to do that.
He's not part of the plan.
But you're not part of the plans moving forward.
Yeah.
And I've had people say that to me out of respect. When we go back to OU, there was a guy who was in front of me. He was a freshman. I was a senior. I had just got hurt again on my patella tendon. He said, listen, man, concentrate on,
just get well.
Get well. Do your surgeries. My senior year. Get well. We're not even going to play you. I'm just be honest with you. We're not going to play you. You need to get healthy, because we got to get this guy ready. He's gonna need to play football.
He's the future.
He's the future, and you're a great guy. We want you to do whatever you can. If it even involves practicing, we don't need you to just be there, but we want you to get him ready.
Do you think that the $175 million, whatever the number is that they still owe him, do you think that might change the way they deal with all of this? Because this could get contentious. If they allege that he did this doing something he wasn't supposed to do, it's going to get real contentious.
I think the Cleveland Browns behind closed doors have told Deshaun Watson, we paying you regardless.
I think the Browns need to just let this thing
go. Let it play out. Pay him whatever you owe him. And
swallow that pill.
Because you need him to play nice. You need him to restructure these deals. Because he could say, no, I want this deal, and I'm going to hammer you on the cap, or whatever the case may be. But
he has, by the way, been the good soldier when it comes to doing that so far.
I would be too.
And
he's going to get his money one way or another. It doesn't matter.
And he hasn't spoken. You ain't heard from him. When all this stuff goes, he's not saying anything, right? And I think that's why I think both sides have come to the conclusion there's no vitriol left.
just move on and let's go.
Yep.
All right, great.
Speaking of moving on, let's talk a little Ohio State, Notre Dame for the national championship. That game's on Monday. If you want to check it out in person, we looked at it in the Game Time app earlier. Tickets were close to $1,300 just to get in. But if you are going to buy tickets, you got to use Game Time to get it because you can save some money with Game Time. And Game Time's newest feature, Game Time Picks, filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Guys, with the national championship just a few days away, we have not addressed the head coaching matchup yet. Marcus Freeman versus Ryan Day. Dustin, if it was up to you, which edge or which side do you give the edge to in the head coaching matchup in the national championship?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I guess I need some more details to your question. Like, do we give the edge in terms of X's and O's? Are we talking about leadership? Are we talking about who's going to keep their team cool, calm, collected? Like, there's a lot of different aspects.
Who
to
do you
this
want
thing.
as the coach of your team in this game?
Yeah, that's the way I would phrase it.
I think you'd be crazy to not say Ryan Day.
I agree.
You know,
Yeah. 5 years from now, I think it's going to be Marcus Freeman.
it could be.
But today, I
Could
think
be.
it's Ryan Day.
Today, I think it's Ryan.
Why
Day-
do you say
Day.
Ryan right now? Just because of the games that
Well,
he's
just
been
look
in?
what they've done in the playoffs.
Yep.
This year, and take away the Michigan game because it is what it is. It sucked, and that we got to live with that. But it's not going to preclude the Buckeyes from being a national champion on Monday evening when this thing goes down. So I would take Ryan Day. I think he's a really bright offensive mind. He's got the best players. He's got the best coaches. Like, there's really no reason why Ohio State should lose this game. There really isn't.
Right.
Notre Dame, and this is not to denigrate that program. They've done a great job. Marcus has done a phenomenal job. He has delegated his power. He's a hell of a leader. They've got the right pieces in there. I expect it to be competitive for 3.5 quarters.
Does it scare you that everybody says what you're saying right now? Because it does me a little bit. So often,
Hell
when,
yeah, it does.
when
Because
everybody
we
is
said
going
that about
one way-
Michigan this
that's
year.
That's exactly right. That's what it almost feels like. There is a hint of that. And this game is obviously bigger than the Michigan game.
Let me ask y'all this question. If you switch coaches, just coaches, no coordinators, no players, just coaches, who would win?
If you switch coordinators,
I think Ohio State
just
would win.
coaches.
I think Ohio State would win with Marcus Freeman as their head coach.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
think
You
Ohio
switch
State could win the game if
Without
three
the
of us-
coaches.
three of
Yeah,
us.
I agree. The coordinators, let's face it, the coordinators are the guys.
Yeah. And by
Chip
the way,
Kelly's,
those coaches and recruiting coordinators, they got those players.
Sure.
So it's not to say that because part of the coaching job is to recruit. Like, it's probably like 70% of it actually, because you got to get the skilled players in the building, and they do have those guys. So I think that the guys could literally go out there and, maybe I'm being a little tongue in cheek, but like pretty much draw it up in the dirt.
Or just have the coordinators call their number and run the plays.
These guys playing up
I think
bad. They know how to call
what's
plays.
telling to me? I don't know if you guys saw the video, the ISO shot of Jack Sawyer, the camera that stayed on him the entire time. The play started all the way. And this was telling to me, I thought, these guys love Ryan Day.
Oh yeah, I know they love him.
Absolutely love Ryan Day.
He's a hell of a coach. He's a hell of a guy.
And I think they galvanized after the Michigan loss. And I think a lot of that, Dustin, you would know better than me, I think a lot of that was the team got sick of hearing the chatter from the media and the fans about it's all the coach's fault. And I think they kind of rallied around him, and it galvanized them and made them closer and stronger. And we're seeing that in each progressive step that they've taken in the national championship.
These guys knew if they didn't put their stones on the line and go out there and ball out for their coach, they were not going to have that coach.
He was going to be gone.
Yeah. And those guys, I've seen this in the league too, because like coaches in the NFL are fired way quicker than college. Guys play harder for guys they like. And because, again, if that guy is responsible for you having your scholarship and you having success to go to the next level, like, you want that guy to be in place. You don't want some other Tom, Dick, and Harry to come in there and take over the job. He may not even like you.
It's the devil you don't know.
Hey, we found out the hard way. You be like, oh, I don't like this coach. Man, them regime ships, and man, they change and you could be in and out.
I didn't like Mike Tice because of some things that happened my rookie year, and all of a sudden Brad Childress comes in and he was 10 times worse.
He's like, oh, you thought you knew the guy. I think too. Let's be honest. That senior class owed it, and they ain't never beat Michigan.
No,
they 0-4. And you've had Rolls Royces on that field. I ain't even got to go down the list of receivers.
There aren't many classes at Ohio State that are winless against Michigan.
And you guys, they underachieved. Let's be honest. They underachieved, and they had to look in the mirror. Like when you go ask scouts about Ohio State, they're like, yo, these guys could have 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 guys drafted. And we talking about 6 or 7 in the first 2 rounds. And when you get in that draft analysis, that means you got the talent. It's there. It's pro ready. But what are you guys doing? You're not maximizing. You're not making plays, and it can't be all on Ryan Day. I think now that you see this team, and I will give Marcus Freeman some credit. Marcus Freeman don't have the athletes that Ohio State has.
I think I saw a thing from On3, it's just like a college website, recruiting website, that Ohio State has 10 5-stars on their roster, and Notre Dame has 0.
Wow. That is correct. I saw the same thing.
Because they got a bunch of tryhards.
They got a lot of 4-stars.
They are these guys are guys that really ain't in the top of top 100, but they play hard. They play well in the trenches. They're physical. I like the way that he galvanizes them, and they just play scrappy football. If Ohio State can get up 10 points, I think it's hard for them to come back because they just don't have.
Well, they don't throw the ball.
They don't throw the ball.
And so any running team.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the game plan, Dustin. If you put your foot on their throat in the first quarter, if it's 3-0 Buckeyes after the first quarter, I think this is playing out just like the Michigan game, and it's right where Notre Dame wants it.
It's going to be a long game.
You need 2 touchdowns on the first 2 possessions. You need for them to be looking up at the board going, I don't know where those 15 points are coming from.
And it don't got to. It could be 10. It could be 13. You just need them to say, I need multiple scores and multiple stops to get in this game. And when you got the firepower, all it takes is one missed tackle. Jeremiah Smith scores. They got 2 running backs who can do it. And if Will Howard does not need to be 3rd and 9.
He doesn't need to be throwing between 4 defenders.
Right.
Like
exactly.
I mean, he got away with a lot.
He got away, but he put some on lines.
He did.
He was throwing dots.
But
I was in his bag. I'll give him that. But he was very close to not being in his bag.
I don't like those throws. They're too risky. Why would you take those throws with the talent they have?
I think if you can get him comfortable where he don't got to win the game for you in the fourth quarter, Ohio State should roll.
You know what's nuts? I can't remember exactly what the numbers were. Mike, maybe you can find this stat. I think I read somewhere where between Oregon and Texas, the Ducks and the Longhorns had like 53 yards on 58 carries against this Ohio State defense.
Sounds about right.
Here's the problem with that if you're Notre Dame. You run the ball.
Yeah, and the running back has got a banged up knee.
And he's not healthy. So, I mean,
and their tackle is banged up too.
So they're limited.
Their lineman is out. They've got a lineman
out.
out.
So their second best rusher is their quarterback.
Yes,
who's got like 100 touchdowns. So if you know that you can sort of take away Love or not to put the emphasis on his ability because you know he's limited. Mm-hmm. By the way, though, that was the most amazing touchdown run ever.
Yeah,
that was great.
Against Penn State.
That was unbelievable.
Hey, that was not a losing effort on that run.
No,
he was not a quitter. He was not a quitter, Jay.
No, you're right. He was not.
But with that being said, you're going to be able to focus more on Leonard and pressuring him. And I do think if Ohio State gets after his ass early, Mark D'Antoni used to say it all the time, you must affect the quarterback early. Get in his head, and if they do that, we're going to get a couple of turnovers. And the game could be a wrap in the first half, not a 3-quarter, 4-quarter game.
Is it my memory, or outside of this year's run, it feels to me like when Notre Dame has had the national spotlight the last couple of times, they were embarrassed. They weren't just they
we
didn't
all
just
remember
lose.
that Alabama game.
That was the one that really comes to mind. I mean, the game was in the first quarter, and I thought, wow, all this anticipation, and this is what we're going to get. To me, it feels like when they've hit the national stage, even going back to when Brian Kelly was there, they get in those situations and they almost always disappoint.
They broke the Manti Te'o story on national championship.
Oh, my God.
I felt sorry for that man. He got twice. Oh, man, they came out there and Alabama did them dirty. He fell all the way out the first. Didn't he fall out the first round?
I think San Diego took him
second round.
Second.
This guy was up for the Heisman as a linebacker, and they said, nah.
Did you guys see the documentary on him?
Yeah.
Best documentary I've seen.
I think he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a great analyst.
Solid.
I love watching him right now on NFL Network.
I think that guy's just a winner of life, man.
I do too.
I feel bad for the situation.
Yeah, because that's a situation.
At the end of the day, it's more embarrassing than anything else.
That's it.
And then he's got to deal with that.
I
would just lean into it
that
and make fun of
situation was
myself.
one that And I was surprised he did the interview with the documentary because, like, I think I would move to northern Idaho and I would never be seen or heard from again.
Yeah.
I would be that humiliated. Bro, you got duped in front of the world.
Well, guess what? He was the first catfish. He won't be the last one.
will not
No,
be
he
the
won't
last
be the
one.
last one. But he made the
How
term
do people
catfish.
I'm sorry. I know we got to move topics here. Just one final thing on this. How does anybody get catfish when you got FaceTime? Or you can go meet
He
someone?
was, you know what? I think he was incredibly naive.
It's easy. It's easier done than people would think. At some point, you got to be like, listen. If I ain't see you,
I'm gonna have to see you.
I gotta see you, bro. And
Put up or show up.
Yeah. Stop playing these games.
Yeah, I need to
But-
feel the skin.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
okay.
let
Now,
me see. Let me see.
when
We
the
good?
dude that got him, okay, when the dude that got him, this is when I was like, okay, I get it now. He went on, I think it was the Maury Povich show or Dr. Phil. I think it was Dr. Phil.
It didn't sound like a man.
He went into a sound room.
Yeah. I
And-
know, my bad.
Put that.
No, Mikey's talking to me. He's like, you just did this.
Look what
No,
you did.
no.
He put that. It sounds like a full blown
Yeah.
hot girl.
It was a female.
All right, your
It
last
was.
10 seconds on Manti Te'o.
I think that he is a winner. I love the guy. I've been rooting for
Can
him
we get-
since the day the media ruined
Can we
it.
get him on the show?
I think he's a
We
great
could try.
guy.
He's doing a great job on NFL Network.
I love
Does a
him on
good job
NFL
breaking
Network.
stuff
I think
down,
he's
so.
really, he's got a lot of confidence, which I think you have to have if you're going to be good at this.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got a lot of confidence, which is incredible to me because at one point he probably thought about moving to Idaho and never showing his face again.
Right?
Yeah.
But he persevered.
Speaking of moving places, there was a rumor that came out this morning about a prominent wing potentially moving places to the Cavs. We'll tell you that rumor in 1 sec after a quick word from Rocket Money. Has Rocket Money ever helped you find subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? It's happened to me. I had a few subscriptions I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place. Whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year, Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year. When using all of the app's premium features, cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That is rocketmoney.com/lockedon, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. So earlier this morning, Joe Varden, friend of the program who writes for The Athletic, wrote an article saying the Cavs are showing interest in Nets small forward Cam Johnson to address some of the perimeter struggles. Kenny Atkinson, in the aftermath of last night's loss, was asked if it was a fair assessment that the longer, more athletic teams on the wing have given the Cavs an issue, and his response was, yeah, that's a fair assessment. No surprise this morning, the rumors about the Cavs showing significant interest in Cam Johnson popped up. In your guys' opinion, is Cam Johnson the right fit for the Cavs? And part two of that, do they have enough assets to acquire Cam?
Well, you know the answer to this, Mikey. I don't know why you even said that. You don't set us up with this two-part question. You know good and well. The first part is absolutely true. Cam Johnson fits perfectly with this roster. We
talked about him a month ago.
Salivating over him all last summer. But as you also know, Mr. McNuggets, you ain't got no money. Well, you do got the money. They're willing to not go into the luxury tax to do it for 2 years. But they are over. So if they want to stay over and go make this deal, by all means. But the problem is, you got Minimowski. You ain't got no picks. You got these twos. You can't trade a first round pick to like 2050 or something. And who you moving? Like who you moving? Like, do they want a Coro, Niang, and a couple twos? Like, that ain't gonna get it done. Why would they make that deal if you're the Nets?
Are you asking me? Yeah, no,
I agree with everything he said.
I'm in total agreement. Cam Johnson was a guy we
They
mentioned
want him. They
before
need
the
him.
season.
How do you get him?
As a perfect fit. I was working with the trade machine this morning. There's a so first off, the Nets, and remember the whole first apron, second apron, luxury tax component of any NBA deals. The Nets' salary as a team is way higher than you would expect because they have Ben Simmons, who signed that massive contract. So the Nets currently are right on the fringe of the first apron, which complicates any kind of deal. The money essentially has to be pretty equal. So you could put together a package of Okoro and Niang and a bunch of second-round picks. Is that enough to get Cam Johnson? I personally do not think so. You could put Jalen Tyson and Karis LeVert together with those second-round picks. I don't think that's enough, especially when there are other teams who could covet the skill set of Cam Johnson that have first-round picks in the next 5 years to trade that Cleveland simply does not.
And here's the thing. They love Max Strus. They love.
Yeah.
They love. Anytime you say Max Strus, the Cleveland Cavaliers organization is like, listen, we brought him in to be a starter. We love him, and we're not moving. They love Max Strus. I don't even like. I mean, he makes a bunch of money. Niang makes some money. Okoro makes some money. But the reality of it is, if you're the Nets or you're rebuilding, why are those valuable package pieces?
I don't know that they are.
I mean, why would you? Why, and it doesn't look like the Cavs have the stomach to trade Strus. Am I wrong about my feelings about Strus?
In terms of,
The
reading
Cavs
something.
thought the Cavs love him.
They love him.
It gave him the biggest free agent contract they've ever given out for a guy not named LeBron James.
Yeah, so
they
they're not
clearly,
moving him.
Clearly covet him, and he does have NBA Finals experience that no one else on the roster has, which I think they covet as well. Strus could be part of the deal, but if you're the Nets and you're in a rebuilding situation,
Why?
I just don't see.
What does he do for the Nets?
It was funny. So last night, my mentions after the game were just a cluster. If anyone goes on Twitter, you know how that gets to. And people were trying to blame a 30-point loss on George Niang and Max Strus. And they certainly did not play well. But, that was not – Max Strus was not the reason they lost that game by 30.
No.
And then this morning, those same people are like, let's trade Okoro, Niang, and Strus to Brooklyn. So you guys just told me
That
these
they
guys
no
can't
good.
play, but now you're going to – those are the pieces
You're going to try to tell somebody else they can.
Yeah, so it's just a funny it's funny how quickly some thoughts change on guys.
Dustin, what are your thoughts? I just don't see how they make that work.
Yeah,
I'd love it to happen.
I'm not the best to talk about how to make a contract work in the trade in the NBA because it is like brain surgery to me, and that whole deal. But I mean, he's a fit, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
He fits great.
He
fits great.
Coach knows him. Like, he, by all accounts, a good dude in the locker room. Like, I'm all for it if you can get it done.
Right. Look. I think everybody would be willing to say, are we willing to say anybody besides the core four is available?
In the article that Joe wrote this morning, he said the Cavs have no interest in breaking up the core four. So I would take that as those four off the table.
Oh, well, that's a given. I mean,
anybody else is good to go.
Guess what they're going to want? They're going to want a piece.
All right.
Picks.
So let's.
Well, we don't have. I mean,
and once again, that gets back to the issue.
that takes it off the table right there.
So here's what I want, McNuggets.
What if we do a three-way? Mike?
There you go.
Well, that's where it gets interesting.
Pause. Me and Jay doing a three-way is disturbing.
I meant trade.
You're talking about Skyline Chili.
Yeah. That's wild.
Oh, that was a good one. That's on the Pause Hall of Fame.
It is, right? Market. Book it, Steve.
All right, let's do a three-team deal.
Yeah, three-team
How's
deal.
that?
Yeah.
Because now you can find a team that has the picks that you can give something to them that they want. They can give the picks to Brooklyn. We get the piece we need. That's why those trades exist.
And who would be willing to give up? That's a third party
OKC.
that has some picks.
How many picks do these guys have?
That's
12 in the next 5 years.
They got 5
They
first-round
have
picks
5
next year.
this year.
For this year.
Oh, I thought I read 5 somewhere.
For this year.
And
That's insane.
What's the potentially the highest one?
Give me a sec. I mean, a lot of them are protected and roll over, but hold on.
That's 4 first round.
But you know what? If I'm OKC, I would look at that deal and say, why would I make the team that could beat us better?
Yeah.
Well, and by the way, Cam Johnson fits great in OKC too.
Yeah, they'd probably say we want Cam Johnson
they
too.
fit great in OKC. Yeah. So my whole thing with Cam Johnson,
There are other teams that are interested.
He'd be a perfect fit in Cleveland. He'd be an incredible fit alongside this roster. He's on a great contract. He brings 3-point shooting. I was looking up his percentiles. He's the 92 percentile on corner threes, which fits right in the Cavs. He's an 87% overall percentile for all 3-point shots.
Wow.
He's in the 77th percentile for perimeter defense. He's a perfect fit. I just don't know how the Cavs can put together a package that some other team couldn't outbid.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you straight up, Cam Johnson or whoever, if you're the team receiving the assets, and Dustin, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll all agree here. Would you rather have a Okoro, Niang, Endor, LeVert, and Tyson and a bunch of seconds, or 2 first-round picks?
2 first-round picks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
give
there
me
are
the
a ton of
latter,
teams
too.
in basketball that can offer.
Yeah.
more picks. That is a higher.
Well, that's
trade
why you
value
bring in the
package.
third team.
But who still wants? And I don't mean to disparage anyone on the Cavs, but like, if you're giving up a first round pick to Brooklyn, that means you're essentially trading a first round pick for the Cavs guys.
Like, could you find a team?
You see what I'm saying?
Could you find a team like, I don't know, Atlanta, a team like somebody that's a couple of pieces away, that.
Well, it wouldn't be an Eastern Conference team who's going to facilitate a 3-team trade to get Cam Johnson.
I can't imagine
No.
it would be either, but
Cleveland.
you can also take OKC out in the West. I don't think they're going to do it either, especially with a player that they'd love to have as well.
Maybe, I don't know. What about a team like, I don't know, Dallas or
He'd be a great fit in Dallas. Like Cam Johnson would fit on every team in the
See,
NBA.
it's always
He's
a
got
wrap.
that 6'8", 6'9", can shoot threes at a high rate. I mean, it's a coveted asset.
I think it's got to be a team that's sitting on a lot of draft picks. By the way, if I'm OKC, I'm doing something with those picks. I'm not making all of those
F
picks.
those picks.
Yeah, them picks
At some point, you run out of
here.
roster spots.
You're not
think
playing
they're
for
right.
Oklahoma City. They still got Chet Holmgren and Hartenstein not playing.
I know.
Where you getting minutes from?
I mean, it's kind of scary when you think about it going forward. They've got the thing in place right now. I think the Cavs do too, but I think OKC more because of their picks. They're kind of set up for a dynastic run here.
We did this the other day, but the Cavs, and you weren't here the day after the first matchup.
Oh, yeah,
The
I
Cavs
don't remember
and the
talking.
Thunder and the Thunder ahead of the Cavs, but they are set up better than any team in the NBA
For not just
sustained
this year, but-
success
yes.
in this new era of the Cavs.
Agreed.
So OKC's picks they have in 2025, they have the lower of the Houston and Clippers, so that's a mid-round first.
Mid.
They have Utah's protected top 10 first, so they won't get that this year because Utah is terrible. They'll be in the top 10. They have their own first, and they have Philadelphia's protected 1 through 6. So
That one's probably the best pick
Philly might end up being the best. That could be it'll be a lottery pick if they
because
don't
their
make the
pick's going to
playoffs.
be
Man,
late.
they
first
could
round.
take them picks, and
You could get a real piece.
You could get a real.
You could get a real piece.
nice, like borderline.
Now the question is, who's going to want to voluntarily want to go to Oklahoma City?
Well, if you're winning, and if they're
Well,
showing
they were
could be a
winning when
dynasty.
Durant wanted out. They were winning when Westbrook wanted out. They were winning when Harden wanted out. It's Oklahoma City, and I told you I've been there.
Fair.
And when I tell you there's a steakhouse, a men's clothing store, and the arena downtown, I'm not exaggerating. Like it is.
There's nothing.
No, there is. It is. Is it the NBA's smallest market?
Is it bigger than Milwaukee?
I think it
Milwaukee
is.
bigger?
I think it is. I mean,
Yeah, they've got
Milwaukee.
other teams.
Yeah, they've got other teams. Milwaukee has the Brewers. They have, Green Bay is in proximity.
I'll look up the TV markets. I'll find it out.
I think it's like low 40s, maybe 47th market. It feels to me like it's the smallest market in the NBA.
Yeah.
Would you guys make of LeBron James saying we?
With the Cavs?
Yeah.
I think he's always going to refer to the Cavs
Yeah.
as we.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I thought you
Memphis
could take
is
the
small,
Cavs,
Jay.
you could take
He's
the
taking
boy off the
ownership
Cavs,
of the
but
Cavs.
you can't take the Cavs
It's
out
his-
of the boy.
it's his baby.
It's his team. He's
Yeah.
proud. He's talked about how proud he is of them and how they're going to do great things this year. This is a current player in the league that has a championship aspirations.
Yeah, I said this yesterday. I actually believe him. As crazy as that sounds, because he says a lot of things I don't believe.
Yeah.
But I do think he genuinely has a rooting interest in this team having success, because I do think he genuinely likes Northeast Ohio.
I agree.
And he's taking ownership of, like, hey, he said this, like, of course he told us that. He's like, I started this thing, got the train rolling, whatever, and now the guys are going to take off and go, which is what I think we're seeing.
Yeah.
But in terms of him liking the Cavs, yeah, I think he's 40 years old, man. Like, he's not coming back to the Cavs anymore. Like, take ownership of what he
you built.
did. Yes, he built a lot here in Cleveland.
Hey, McNuggets. Let me ask you about this one dude.
Shoot.
Is Bradley Beal washed?
Yeah.
I would not. For A, he has a no trade clause, and
wouldn't
B,
do
I
it.
wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole.
I wouldn't do
He
it either.
seems like a kind of a toxic player to have in the
washed.
building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay, to answer your question for Super Chats, Memphis and New Orleans are technically the two smallest TV markets, but we're talking 51, 50, and 47. So
Yeah.
those three in
they're-
the same cluster.
little
We're heading over to WKYC here in 4 minutes, but let's get to our Super Chats today to wrap up the YouTube portion of the show. Sports Junkie says, with all the different lineups Kenny has tried this season, why not treat big games like last night like playoff games by keeping the starters on the floor for longer?
It's my knee-jerk reaction has said that the last 3 or 4 big games, And I did think that he did keep Max Strus and Niang on the floor way too long. But it's the regular season. He's trying stuff out for the playoffs. I can't be mad at him that he's not going to burn his starters out in these games.
At what point did Kenny also say, not tonight?
Not tonight.
It's just not happening.
They ain't got it. So.
All right. Next super chat. This is my favorite subplot of UCSS lately. It's from Paul Baker. To respond to yesterday, Abdul Carter at number 2. Help Miles pay him. By the way, I am the Paul Baker. I ain't afraid of no smoke. Love the show. Y'all rock.
What is? I don't get that.
We have a Paul Baker from earlier in this week that Anthony grew up with, who we thought was Anthony's friend super chatting. Turns out Anthony's actual friend Paul Baker then super chatted the next day saying that wasn't me. And now this is the original Paul Baker from Tuesday super chatting back saying I'm the real. We have a whole Paul Baker beef in the chat.
Who's the real Paul Baker? Is that Baker?
Well, it depends on who you want to consider real. Is it either Anthony's friend or the other Paul Baker?
It's the chicken or the egg, Jay. Which one? Who's the real?
I try to follow it in those group chats, but there's 75 messages I have to go back through.
We also got G. Bush's knee, G. Bush's neck, now G. Bush's ankles. Yeah,
the ankle is crazy. Like, forget the knee, the neck and the back. G. Bush's ankle, woohoo!
It's talking ankle replacement.
Man, talking all
I ain't never heard of.
Man, shoot, man. The only ankle replacements I really need is them Jordans. I'm saying changed my ankles up, bro.
All right, 2 more. 223 Leakin says, imagine how he's going to feel when this shiny new first-round pick walks through the locker room door, getting the attention, and Jackson Dart in the 3rd. I'm not just taking that.
What number of shiny pick?
Not sure. I think he's went to Denzel. How's he going to feel when they get a new quarterback?
I think so, too.
Last super chat comes from Jordan Pace, who says, saying the Cavs don't need to make a trade because of chemistry is a loser's mentality. Dean Wade is so valuable for this team. Trade Okoro for Larry Nance Jr. I think Larry Nance Jr. is hurt right now.
Yes, he is.
He is. We talked about
he hurt his hand. I think
we talked about Larry Nance earlier this year as
another guy who's definitely on the radar.
Yeah.
All right, we're heading over to WKYC. You can download the WKYC Plus app. Watch from anywhere. We're talking quarterbacks who aren't Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. See you then.